Today we need to get into the community being very angry and Scooter Braun addressing a disbandment situation that the communities have speculated for a while now, that they feel like he has confirmed. And then we have JK confirming something about his music and what's going on with that. Say Dumplings is Dave, decide hater or not, make sure you subscribe with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us fangirling on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. So I think a lot of people had a lot of speculations as to what JK's music was derived from, like the inspiration behind it, what he was watching, what his team was thinking about, and why he chose this specific image that he went with. A lot of people say it's Michael Jackson inspired, and a lot of people have had that theory since he had performed at the World Cup and he was wearing clothes that was very similar to what Michael Jackson would wear. A lot of news sites were reporting that he was doing a Michael Jackson inspired performance, and I don't think he or the label ever came out and said that, but I do believe that the news sites either got it from just his look and people saying that this is Michael Jackson inspired, and it probably was also in the press releases that the label put out. So that brand was already out there for a little while. So when JK had to put his own solo stuff, it makes a lot of sense that he would just go the route of how a lot of people already saw him as, like that image that he gave to the world on that global stage. So actually during an interview, JK talked about his style and this type of music that he wants to make. And he talked about how the comparison makes him feel really happy because he loves Michael Jackson and he had watched Michael Jackson since he was very young, and he loves his dance moves and loved everything about MJ. Of course, the album, him making the album, the style being similar to Michael Jackson is not something that is new information, and it's not something that has come out recently. However, this has resurfaced as a singer had recently addressed JK during her interview, and it was fantastic. People have been very excited about this. Diana Ross, who's a very famous actress and singer, recently went on an interview and talked about how she really admires JK's music style, and she says it reminds her a lot of Michael Jackson. And recently her favorite song that has been on repeat is Standing Next to You. She specifically stated that Michael Jackson's style comes out in JK's music and dancing a lot. And then she went on and praised JK's dancing as well as his backup dancers. This was fantastic, and people were very excited about this as so many Michael Jackson fan pages and accounts then started tweeting about Jung Kook's music, and I think it hit a new wave. This I did think was very interesting because people did call JK an up-and-coming artist or a new artist, and then they compared JK to being a new artist that resembles Michael Jackson. However, JK is not a new artist at all. New artists do not get to perform at the World Cup. New artists don't have 10 years of experience under their belts. This is something that I feel very deeply about because I always feel like Asian men always work really hard to reach something, but will always be underscored somehow. Whether that is people never hearing of them so that they say that they are less than and give them a lesser rank, and I really don't know why. Is it because a lot of Asian men are not sexualized and are not seen as super attractive in the American or Western zeitgeist, or is it something else? Is being attractive to an audience so important in order to be remembered, or can people be remembered while not being considered attractive? And is this idea that Asian men aren't attractive still a relevant thought? Do people still think this way, or is this more of a smaller group of people that thinks this way? So many questions, so little time in the day to look up these answers and answer them. We have a lot of people that are very upset right now. But what is new? What is different about this than any other day? If you're not sure what's going on, the label recently has been under controversy for several reasons. One of them being that the label does not promote their artists enough, and so a lot of people have not been happy with how the label has promoted Jimin's work before he went to the military, as well as his work now that he's in the military and has all this pre-recorded stuff coming out. There's been a lot of issues, like the label isn't putting a lot of money behind him and just a bunch of random stuff. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the label is expected to do at this point, because I think what the community cares about is just streams, getting a butt ton of views, and then for the artist to be everywhere. Whereas labels tend to care about what's going to make the artist the most money and what's going to make them the most money. So this then begs the question, is there a point in promoting an artist who may have a single, who may have an album, whatever it may be, and give them this huge push if they can't sell like a performance, and if they can't sell anything beyond just the song? Labels make very little money from the actual sales of the song, and they make more money from ticket sales. So there is no tickets to sell right now, as Jimin can't really have a show right now. So for them to put money in a billboard, for them to push it to X, Y, and Z, all of these different places, and pay for that promotion, it wouldn't necessarily make sense. This is not going to result in any ticket sales. So I understand people being upset that they're not seeing Jimin everywhere and they're not being bombarded with this content everywhere. I can't say that I completely understand, because the goal of the label isn't necessarily to make someone famous. That isn't the thing. thing. The goal is to make money. And that's why people join a label, to make money and hopefully make enough money to do the music that they want to do. If you're not aware, people join labels, yes, because they hope that the label will push them through TVs and all of these things and they'll be a huge artist. But one of the main reasons why they may choose to sign or not sign is how much money the label is giving an artist up front. Because at the end of the day, to create the music, to have the best state-of-the-art studios and have the best music videos, these artists are going to need a huge budget that they may not initially have already had. And that's why they choose to sign with a label. Now, ARMYs were very furious, to say the least, when they saw a bunch of people on social media doing the promotion for Jimin and putting his posters everywhere. And there were a lot of people making comments that say that it seems like the community has promoted Jimin way better than the label has. And you can say this is definitely an opinion, but the label has done what it needs to do. Anything else after this is pretty much just going to either be Jimin's own efforts or it's going to be from the community. People, of course, are very upset at Scooter Braun, and this time for something a little different. Now, if you're unaware of what Scooter Braun did, he put out a statement not too long ago saying that he was retiring from management. And it was this like 10-page carousel on Instagram where he had this very long statement talking about his career and talking about retiring from management. So he's not retiring in general, although he probably could, and he made enough money where he could do that, but he's retiring from just managing artists and now becoming a CEO. Now, a lot of artists have left Scooter Braun within the last few months or a few years or so people have been wondering if they left and now he's considering retirement, or was it that he was planning on retiring anyway, and so he was slowly getting rid of them and kind of pushing them away so he could eventually retire without retiring, and then they don't have a manager. So a lot of people like to think that something horrible happened behind the scenes, but could really just be as simple as he had been wanting to retire for a really long time and he was giving his talent an opportunity to leave before he retired. And this was made evident to me because he said in his statement, "Now who would I be without them?" And he also said that he wanted to retire for a long time. Now, something shocking in that statement that I never really got to talk about, that a lot of people got very angry about, was this idea that Scooter mentioned Jung Kook's solo. Now, this wasn't the part that people got upset about, but apparently he mentioned JK and BTS separately. This is because apparently he's worked with JK and he did his solo stuff, but then he also mentioned working with the members of BTS without specifically saying who those members are, although he had called out JK's name, with many people saying that this is implying that Scooter wants to take JK away from BTS, or at least separate them. And the reason why to me he decided to mention them separately was because he worked with JK on solo stuff and was probably more involved in that, like producing every song, and was really more involved in that, while he probably just worked with random things with the other BTS members. So it wasn't like he had much control over their stuff as he probably did with JK's stuff. And that's why he probably separated those two. However, when I read it, I never read that he implied that he was trying to take away JK from the group, or that he was trying to push for JK to go solo, or any of that stuff. He was just simply talking about the work that he has done with the label. At the same time, he's also mentioned the other groups that he worked with, and that's because he worked with groups as a group. He didn't work with those people individually. So I think it's very interesting what people like to extrapolate and what people like to say. And now that they already hate him, they want to come up with this narrative that he is trying to separate the two, and that he has confirmed in the statement that the group is going to disband, or whatever it is. But I don't think that that's true at all, and he is not going to be the one that is going to be able to decide whether the group disbanded or not. He just doesn't have the power. The group has to want to do that themselves, and JK doesn't want to do that. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.